Good afternoon, Hetal bhai.
Sir, good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
Unmute करो.
हाँ, unmute कर दिया.
Good afternoon.
आ रही है आवाज.
Oh, unmute.
हाँ.
Good.
कैम छे?
First class. आप कैसे हैं?
बस चल रहा है यार.
Good.
Nice to see.
Yeah, good.
After a long time.
Yes. आप हैदराबाद है, दिल्ली है, कहाँ है?
हैदराबाद.
अच्छा, good. Great.
Sir, good evening, sir. Mr. Suresh Kumar ji.
Sir, good evening. कैसे हैं sir?
Good sir. My name is Murugesan. Our
जी,
friend, all are my friends.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes sir.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes, can we begin now?
Yes sir. और किसी को आना है?
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से we are waiting for Pramod Kumar Sinha ji.
Okay.
Should be any moment.
चलो चालू कर लो.
चालू कर दें? We can begin, sir.
हाँ.
Possibly नहीं. Solo all have come. I'm beginning in the next. Hello everybody. I'm working. Correct? Then I have to call him. चार बज गए सर. Let's begin. Okay, my friends, all of you. Today we are all congregating for a tribute to RATNA Shri Yogendra Prasad ji. We lost Prasad Saab on the 22nd of April 2021 this year, and unfortunately to the COVID itself, the pandemic itself, And he was born 6th of April 1945. I had actually wished him on his birthday. And we had spoken for quite some time, and he was in that time in Motihari in his village, working on the project. And I wish that he should have come back quickly, but somehow fate and destiny had different things in store. And we literally lost our best man in the hydro sector. Today with us, video and a comment. Murthy is not there.
Yes, sir.
Achha, I'm not able to see. Murthy sahab, are you there?
हाँ, I am there यार.
Okay, okay. आपका वीडियो चला गया था बीच में. Anyway,
हाँ.
I wish to say a few things. We have with us Shri N. Murugesan, former DG CPRI. We have my colleague PVSN Murthy, former Vice President of Voith Hydro and Honorary Associate Director for REPA. I have my colleague Shri Hetal Mehta, a co-founder for REPA and also the chairman of SETU. We have these gentlemen already in this meeting as a tribute to one of the greatest doyens of India's hydro sector. And in fact, I would say in the period from 1978 onwards, when after coming out of the Bihar Electricity Board, State Electricity Board, Prasad Sahab joined NHPC. From that period onwards, I think almost 60% of the whatever hydro projects you want to talk about in this country had in some way or the other the influence of Shri Yogendra Prasad. In that sense, he was not only awarded the RATNA from our side, from the ENERTIA Foundation and REPA, but the hard fact is that he must be considered as India's biggest icon of the hydropower sector. And he was the only hydro engineer or civil engineer who has been recognized by the International Commission on Large Dams. Is the only engineer till date who has got that award for dam construction sustainability and excellence in hydropower from this organization, International Commission on Large Dams. So that was that's the kind of tall personality that he was. He won our lifetime achievement for ENERTIA awards in the year 2013 at the 7th ENERTIA awards. So I can go on talking about him, but today's time period is that I wish to engage my colleagues and friends on this discourse of what Prasadji did for hydropower sector and how he is such a tall figure, and not only hydropower, he ended up as one of the tallest figures in the power sector in India. So let me first engage, I thought if you can engage with starting with Murthy Sahab, your comments first, because now the ones who have joined is Murthy Sahab and our Murugesan. So I'll begin in that manner, and also Hetal Bhai. Murthy Sahab, what in your opinion, how did you see him and see his contribution?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's very unfortunate we lost one of the doyens of hydropower in India. Dr. Yogendra
Murthy Sahab, voice नहीं आ रहा है. Murthy Sahab, voice नहीं आ रहा है.
Yeah, अब आ रहा है?
हाँ, अब ठीक है.
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Yogendra Prasad is one of the.
Murthy Sahab, आवाज थोड़ी.
अभी.
हाँ, ठीक है. Yes.
Yogendra Prasad is one of the doyens of the hydropower in India, and he has done. In fact, if you say NHPC, the name has been made more housewide known is because of Yogendra Prasad ji. He is the man who made hydro and NHPC synonymous, and all power engineers came to know, and even non-power engineers started recognizing hydropower and NHPC from the time of NHPC was taken over by Yogendra Prasad ji. See, I had a lot of interaction professionally at the initial stages. In fact, I remember way back in 92, 93, 94, I got, he was the chairman of the awards committee for one of the VCTEX Foundation, where my company got an award, and I got the award from the hands of then Minister Omar Abdullah, and Yogen Prasad was there as the chairman of Diwan. That's I still remember those days. Onwards, I know Yogen Prasad, and it's very unfortunate that we lost him quite early. It's not in today's parlance. 75 is not a big age, in fact, and he has done also his contribution for the 50,000 megawatt during Atal Bihari time was one of the things. He is a person who has made most of the report for 50,000 megawatt hydro rapid projects to come up. So he is one of the basic doyen of hydropower in India, and most of the projects he has done have come on time, and his project management skills for hydro projects, specifically for hydro projects, why I say is most of the hydro projects run behind time, but he has made most of the projects to come on time by solving the issues, not keeping the issues under the carpet, but by solving the issues and making the projects on time is one of the best thing he has given to the hydropower. So the great achievement of such a personality we are not seen back in the hydropower for a long time, and it's very unfortunate we lost him in April for the COVID. Thank you.
Right. So can I Murugesan, Murugesan,
Yes.
former
Yes.
Director General of the Central Power Research Institute, one of very well wishers of Yogendra Prasad ji and an officer of repute who has interacted with Prasad sir.
Yes.
Murugesan ji,
Yes, sir.
your views on Prasad sir
Yeah,
and your
yeah, yeah.
interactions in various
Yeah,
of
yeah.
our forums.
In fact, sir, I heard about Yogendra Prasad ji when I was even before the CPRI. He was very popular. Sitting in Bangalore, we are knowing about him. But once I became DG CPRI, I could not have an opportunity to meet him. But that was possible only through Professor Iyer ji. In fact, my association with Iyer ji started through his magazine, such a wonderful magazine. And without seeing him, I subscribed to English advertisement because of its quality of printing, as well as the way they written like that. But as friend, I had an opportunity in 2012 onwards. I every NHPC award, without fail, invite me. I had an opportunity to share the dice. That's the first time such a tall person. And though he is elderly by not less than 14 years, he used to treat me with a brotherly treatment. Every time he asked about what is the problem, what is to be done, that kind of thing. When I went through his credentials, he was the only person who occupied.
Yeah, so Murugesan sir, a few things, I think before I go to immediately to Hetal Mehta, I want to say that the tenure of Prasad Saab, Yogendra Prasad Saab, matched with the tenure of Atalji. Because when Atalji was the Prime Minister, 1997 to 2004, Prasad Saab served as the chairman of NHPC, and the longest serving chairman at that, from the period of 1997 until the 2005 October. That's a type of parallel tenure, and we all remember that he spoke passionately about the 50 gigawatt hydropower initiative that Vajpayee Saab, the Honorable Prime Minister at that time, and probably the best Prime Minister India ever produced, who introduced this 50 gigawatt initiative at that time. It included a huge development in the Northeast, almost 50%. So I think, Prasad Saab's career coincided with the onset of Atalji's movement on the political arena, and not only that, Atalji was oriented towards the development of India's infrastructure, important moderator, and other thing. And one of the areas that he tried to push was hydropower itself. And we must not forget that at that time the share of hydropower until 2003 was 27% of the national power generation mix. And today we have come down to a very, very pathetic 10%, 11%. So it's very important that we are having this discussion due to the man who actually during Vajpayee's time, the great leader, ensured that we achieved that. And Prasad Saab has very, very passionately talked to me on how beautiful relationship is shared with none other than ABA Ghani Khan Chaudhary, one of the greatest parliamentarians that we had, and this relationship from Malda. And I can tell you that the Chukha power, the transmission corridor, was thanks to the initiatives that Prasad took and the support that he got from Ghani Khan Chaudhary. So that's the kind of a tall personality Prasad Saab was. He's a doer. So Mehta Saab, your interactions so many times at our forums at THPA and also your own meetings with him together with me. I want you to put up a few words on what type of personality Prasad Saab was. Your words, Mehta Saab. Hetal bhai. Do we have Hetal ji?
Unmute कर लो.
अभी सुन पा रहे हैं मेरे को?
Yes, Hetal bhai.
Okay. In fact, it is very right to give him tribute. And as Professor said, my interaction was quite late with Prasad Saab. After I came to Inertia and even your REPA. लेकिन जब भी हम मिले उनको, whenever we met, we had a very good discussion. Particularly, I can say he is a very, very humble person.
A little louder. Hetal bhai, a little louder. They are not able to hear.
In fact, whenever we met him, I found him a very, very humble person. He was a man of method, man of, you can say, vision. He was having so many qualities. Many times I have interacted with him. In fact, he had been Surat also. So whenever we discuss and whenever we met, whatever word he was speaking, he was having a full vision what is supposed to be in the future that he can really predict. And particularly if we see his tenure of the work, because I have not seen him working exactly, because after his retirement I have been introduced to him many times. But what the word or what the facts I am listening from people like you, he is really the man of method, a person who is having a wide vision, and whatever he has done for this country, for the hydropower, is unforgettable. So this is the right time for all of us to give him a right tribute. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Unmute करना.
Yeah, Professor.
Unmute करना.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I don't know who all have joined. I hear that our friend Balraj Joshi Saab is also joined. Is he there? Can he put his photo on? Can he put his video and audio on, please? Balraj Joshi Saab, if you are there. Otherwise, we continue.
आपके इसमें आप इसको है ना वाइडर एंगल कर दो, सबको दिख जाएगा आपको. Are you with laptop or mobile?
हेलो प्रोफेसर, अभी दिखेगा एक ही take everyone into one sheet.
हाँ जी, खजांची साहब is here.
Yeah,
Let us get Khazanchi Saab online there. RN Khazanchi is Honorable DRUK THUKSEY, former MD Tala Hydropower Authority and the PHPA 1 and 2, that is the Puna Sanchu Hydropower Authority, Bhutan. And he is the ex-colleague of Shri Yogendra Prasad Sahib and a very close associate of all our activities all these years, and a very senior man and a neighbor to Shri Yogendra Prasad Sahib. So, Khazanchi Sahib, how do you see Yogendra Prasad ji's contribution, especially his contribution in both India and Bhutan? How do you see that?
Professor,
Khazanchi Sahib, can you hear me?
PHL state electricity board, where they didn't have any hydropower that time, and which is so true today also.
Hello.
So he was basically in
Khazanchi
transmission
Sahib,
and
can we hear? The voice is not coming, sir.
voice should be all right. You want me
His
to?
voice is good. Is it audible?
Is it okay?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Do you hear me?
Go ahead, sir.
Good. Okay.
Good, sir.
Mr. Prasad, basically an electrical engineer by training, he worked with State Electricity Board of Bihar, where they didn't have hydropower. And once he joined on deputation to NHPC, again he found his place in the transmission works of our organization. And he had to work very well, especially when Government of India was actually bogged down with the transmission of Chukha hydropower. The agreement between the two governments was to execute the project. Generation part of the project was on, transmission had not been tied up. NHPC had nothing to do with it, and power grid was not in place that time. So the choice fell on NHPC, and it was Mr. Yogendra Prasad, peace be to his soul, that he worked so hard and so positively that they could match the first unit commissioning in 1986 of Chukha power for transmission to India. That was a big achievement, and he was really recognized for that contribution. But imagine his real passion for hydropower. When power grid got incorporated, most of his colleagues in the transmission, they left and joined them, the power grid new organization. He continued, although he didn't have any background that time of hydropower, only that he had seen projects in construction. But immediately, I recall the last few years of the previous century and the beginning of this century, almost a decade, he came to the top and was known to be the hydroman in India. And the best part was that he used to be very, very considerate. So people in business associated with hydropower, people, his own subordinates, and also who actually administered him. That means the ministry concerned. Brilliant person, brilliant person. And it's tragic to have lost him. And I will tell you, gentlemen, I'm supposed to be 3.5 years senior to him in age. We had a very close rapport when we were in NHPC. And I could see his passion that time. And I knew, I left for Bhutan in '97. He continued and came to become the director first projects and then and a brilliant performance. A person who will not be forgotten in NHPC at all. And he happened to be the first NHPC man to become a director and then to become a CMD also.
Right. So,
anything particular?
Yeah, I think we need to pick up his contribution to Bhutan also. Because
in Bhutan, I will tell you, we had NHPC had the project, the generation project. Although a small station, but the problem was then of transmission, which was not our responsibility. NHPC's responsibility. And unfortunately, that border area, bordering Assam, was all infested with terrorists. They had established their camps there. And they were very active. Local population being very small. Everybody raised their hands. Came in.
No, I think we are lucky. I want to tell you that the meeting's time limit is removed by Zoom, so we can continue. So we are not bound by the 45 minutes for everybody to know. So we will expand this. Now let me get Mr. Balraj Joshi, a former managing director of chairman managing director of NHPC, onto the Discord, and because he will be the best man to tell us. So because he is under Prasad's comment, one of the, I would say, one of the best. He's also served NHPC. Balraj Joshi sir, let me have your views, sir.
Thank you, Professor Iyer. I think Khazanchi sir had not finished his talk.
Yeah, no, I'll go back to him. Okay. I'll go back to him. I want to make this interesting.
Thank you very much. And first of all, let me offer my heartfelt condolences that we lost him. And I worked through and through with NHPC, as you know, from 82 onwards. And I had a good chance to work with Mr. Prasad. Apart from his operational competence, his professional competence, what I liked about him, and it was outstanding quality, was that he was a visionary. Why I call him a visionary was, he was never afraid of the growth. Before that, number of people came and they were offered projects also, and they actually refused, taking a plea that they had already their plate full and no further projects could be handled by the organization. But when he took over and the projects were being offered to him by the government, and that time government was merely projects directly to the public sector, he did not refuse. He said, when people ask him, how do you, because you do not have people, you don't have finances, he said, nahi, hum karenge na ji, don't worry, hum karenge. So that was the conviction he had. He had a number of people built up the cadre, and he was additional managerial, competence factors like fast decision making, and he was accessible to all. They were all there. But what stands out, in my view, that he was not afraid of the growth, and that's the reason why he could take NHPC to greater heights, which his earlier predecessors could not do to that level. Thank you so much.
Right. We have our friend PK Sinha, Pramod K. Sinha. He formerly served the Department of Public Enterprises, Government of India, and several MNCs, and also was the management member and the former head of HR, PR and communication of Scope, Standing Conference on Public Sector Enterprises. Unfortunately, due to some technical issues, he could not join immediately in the beginning, but we have him. May I have views of Pramod K. Sinha Saab on this moment and time when we have lost one of our greatest giants? I would say after M. Vishweshwarya, probably somebody who could be remembered in that league was none other than Yogendra Prasad. So may I have the view of Pramod K. Sinha Saab on this issue? Over to you, Pramod ji.
Good afternoon, everybody. My respect to all my legendary seniors. Hello?
Yeah, now we can hear.
Yes. As far as Mr. Yogendra Prasad is concerned, as Dr. Iyer has already conveyed, I served Department of Public Enterprises in 90s when he had just become CMD of NHPC, and by chance I was handling the governance issues and autonomy to PSU board, and at that point of time, Honorable Minister, Mr. late Shri Murasali Maranji was there, who wanted us to go for some Navratnas of PSCs. And that was the time when we used to interact with all CEOs of PSCs, and definitely Mr. Yogendra Prasad ji was one of them, a very visionary, straight person who always used to come any thought very objectively and very supportive in providing any inputs, insights of public sectors. So as Dr. Iyer has already said, he was man of mission, he was man of hydro sector, and like our preceders, Bharat Ratna Visvesvaraya ji and E. Sridharan ji, who used to lead in their respective areas, definitely Yogendra Prasad ji finds his place as a leader for hydro sector, a visionary for hydro sector, a person who went out of box always, and as a leader, he always could see how the organizations could be taken to new scale of heights, whether he served Bharat Electricity Board, Bihar Electricity Board, or he served NHPC, or he served SJVN. Everywhere he could leave behind the achievements, which definitely nation will have to recognize for decades to come. For a person like him, today we are paying tribute is the right direction taken by Dr. Iyer, and having served Department of Public Enterprises and organization like Scope, which used to handle with more than 200 enterprises, I'd like to convey that we should prepare a kind of compendium, learnings from such persons, either in the soft or in the hard, and which should be given as a learning skill to all engineers joining public sectors in energy sector or power sector, how these visionary persons could take various projects and various establishments to national glory, and how they were so strong in managing the entire setup commercially, giving dividend to the country, earning profit for the company, and at the same time taking welfare of the people worked with him. So he was a man of person, he was a man of team, he was a choice of people, and definitely it's a fitting tribute initiated by Dr. Iyer to give a person like Yogendra Prasad ji.
Yeah. So thank you. And I want to have immediately Dr. V.K. Garg, former chairman and managing director of the Power Finance Corporation, and who also in many of our forums has been together with Prasad Saab. May I get Dr. V.K. Garg? And is he able to hear me? Does he have the video?
Yeah, yes, sir. I can hear you. I'm here.
Yes, Garg Saab.
I'll join Yogendra Prasad ji. Had a long association when I joined Power Grid in 97. So 97 onwards, till his last time, we had almost been in touch with each other. And Prasad Saab basically was a man with a zunoon, जिसको कहते हैं hydro zunoon. And कई बार ये होता था कि ये चीज अप्रूव होगी या नहीं होगी, वो कहते हैं गर्ग एक बात मान के चलते हैं हम. We try to do it. अप्रूव हो गया तो ठीक है, नहीं हो गया तब भी ठीक है. We'll pursue our goal.
Right.
His passion for pursuit of the goal was unique.
Right.
And the hydro status that we have today, taking into account the 5 megawatt and below and 25 megawatt and below into renewable, a lot of credit goes to the efforts of Mr. Prasad, who kept on fighting with the government and saying that hydro is renewable and must be included in renewables.
Right. We had also done the representation at the time. To
And
him only, he was always championing.
Yeah, he was championing, and he was an excellent, I would say, project manager.
Yes.
A friend of friends.
Right.
A leader for the subordinates.
Right.
And one thing which distinguished him from others was he kept his word.
Exactly.
If he said something to his staff, he stuck to it. And to protect his staff, he will fight with anyone. That was another unique quality of him.
Wonderful.
And the SJVN project, every time it used to get stuck with this silt, he solved it and solved it in such a fashion that after that, I think for last 15 years, the problem of silt in the project has been sorted out.
Right, sir.
The NHPC, whatever NHPC he built out of his personal effort, zeal, and cooperation of all the staff which stood by him, and there was no looking back. So he would be remembered more as a hydro man, a hydro zunoon, and a hydro spirit of India. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Achha, now I want to get Khazanchi Saab back again on the one issue. Khazanchi Saab, you were there, and in 2013,
I'm hearing you.
We got the Lifetime Achievement Award. Our Prasad Saab. Uske baad, in our jury, he had recommended the next year that we should actually to his guru, Mata Prasad ji. That's the type of, and Mata Prasad, there is no engineer of technical qualification like Mata Prasad, because what Prasad Saab told me, ये तो हमारे गुरु हैं, क्योंकि engineering की कोई problem होती थी, तो अगर वो theoretical चीजें समझनी है, जिसको right, मतलब we need to understand, then Mata Prasad was the best, I would say, encyclopedia. That's the way he described. And we were able to give him lifetime achievement, Mata Prasad Saab, who's no more there also, in the next year, 2014. And thanks to Yogendra Prasad ji's recommendation on his work. So this is the type of personality Yogendra Prasad was. He looked at everybody, and any injustice done to the industry, he would bring it forward and say, this must be recognized. And he stood for so many people. So Khazanchi Saab, your views on this?
Okay. Professor Iyer.
Yes, sir.
In 1985, NHPC was offered to do Tehri hydropower, Tehri Dam. It used to be in that environmental controversy, but we did hold the charge for maybe a year. We had a small office also in Delhi, a small guest house, but you will not believe me. And due respects to the directors and the CMD that time, they didn't have the strength and guts to hold that work. We had people who had done projects in Manipur, in Himachal, in J&K, and had worked under very difficult conditions. Yet the management did not accept Tehri. Now, I tell you, if clock were to be reversed, and if Yogendra Prasad had been the chairman or a director that time, who would have done Tehri certainly better than, again, with due respect for all those who worked at Tehri later, but it would have been certainly far, far better and far, far faster. That is the type of Mr. Yogendra Prasad was. And what I want to tell you is, we had that time a problem because the management would not contain any professional, hardcore hydro professional. That was our difficulty. Then came this time when we had the first from our own, Madam Diveti as Director Technical, and then joined Mr. Prasad as Director Projects.
Right.
And then it gave a different direction to NHPC.
Right.
His courage, his actually the concern for people, great concern for people, everybody.
Right.
And I recall then came a date when NTPC, they were doing exceedingly well, and a cash-rich company, they came and offered to the Minister of Power to purchase NHPC and get it with them under their fold.
Right.
He was the person, one man, who fought it out and made an counter offer. He said, let us purchase NTPC at any cost. We will raise this funds. Yes, I will tell you honestly. This is the background. He said, at any cost, we'll take over, we'll arrange the finances, and then see from the thermal power stations and hydropower together, we'll do as good as NTPC is doing, if not better. That was his courage. So the government had to shelve that proposal. I tell you, Professor Sir, came a time when we were just now talking about great Sridharan Sir, the railway man. When he was doing Konkan Railways, it was NHPC who spared their middle level professionals who had done Chamera stage 1 in Himachal.
Right.
They were spared and sent to him, and he had a lot of appreciation for them. I have seen those letters of appreciation signed by Mr. Sridharan for all those professionals, and he holds them even at this age when they are not there with him in great respect. That was NHPC when Mr. Prasad was there, and came a date that SJVNL, it was Naphtha Jati Power Corporation that time, got stuck.
Right.
So what is the choice? Give it to NHPC. And it was Mr. Prasad who really bailed it out. It was a disastrous flood. And after that flood, all the equipment had already been erected. All that had to be replaced and done in a record time. That was his strength. A new organization, full SJVNL with him, that Naphtha Jati, plus his own people from NHPC, he could manage.
Right.
He will be remembered by everybody. A great person.
Right.
And personally, I tell you, till I am alive, I will miss him. I'll really miss him.
Yeah. Now I want to throw this gauntlet. Doing hydropower is far difficult and far challenging than constructing a road or a tunnel. So, with due respect to what Sridharan did, I consider Prasad, as an editor and a neutral man, I consider Prasad's work as very towering. No comparison to the kind of work he did and the way he built NHPC. So this is what we have to tell this country, because hydropower is not a easy job. I would request our ex-chairman and MD NHPC to highlight this issue. Because Khazanchi Saab also challenging jobs he has done in Bhutan. But I think this is a devil's advocate thing. We are comparing Sridharan Saab's work. It's great work, I agree. But there is no comparison to Prasad Saab's work, in my opinion. Hydro karna hi bada mushkil kaam. Let's get Joshi Saab, Balraj Joshi Saab to say a few things.
Well, you have put it right. Actually, hydro projects are most difficult thing, and particularly they are made more difficult due to the fact that we are supposed to build them in a very unfriendly and fragile geology of Himalayas, and not much investigation can be done, and the investigation continues to have its own inherent limitations. You can't, for example, drill holes all along the length of the tunnel, which in case of THPA 5, I remember, was 17.75 kilometer long tunnel.
Right,
and I was in charge of design of THPA 5 under him, and let me tell you that THPA 5 was one such iconic project which was built almost in time. There was a delay of about 12 months, which is very common in hydro, and almost in the same within the budget. So later on, whenever I presented many projects from NHPC's behalf in the PIB and the Finance Ministry, they will ask which project you have built in time. I would very proudly say that this is the project which we have done in time and within the cost. And the reason for that was fast decision making by Prasad Saab. I remember during the execution of the dam, the left bank of the dam slided, and it would have really become a very big problem. But he called us and he said, don't worry, you do your best, whatever best knowledge you can apply, just issue the drawings and let's get going. And so much of quantity variation was coming. He says, don't worry about that, just issue the drawings. And within half an hour, the note came back to us and we issued the drawings. Finally, there were problems in the surge shaft. There were so many cracks in the powerhouse. And each time we were feeling so free to tell him, we were not afraid of him. We always knew that if we took a problem to him, the solution would come. So he patted our backs and said, don't worry, these things happen in hydro. And let me say that it gave us so much of boost that we could finish the project almost in time, and that too without any major accidental problem in the project. And this is just one example I'm saying. So he was such a good support, and that is what is required for hydro, and that makes the hydro different from other projects also. I have been working on one of the NTPCs, not NTPC, but the West Bengal Power Development Corporation's project, which NHPC did as a consultancy on the insistence of West Bengal governor at that time, sorry, Chief Minister at that time, Mr. Jyoti Basu, because he was a close friend of Mr. Prasad. And I was put in charge there after I served my tenure in the Purchu project in Bhutan. I was posted there. And for me, it was almost kind of a double whammy because I had been away from my family in Bhutan for more than 2 years. Before that, I had served in JNK for 14 years, which was also a very difficult situation. Militancy had started and all that. So I went to him. I said, sir, I have been serving on the projects and kindly post me to somewhere, some good projects, like easy projects near my hometown. He said, देखो भाई ऐसा है प्रेस्टीज NHPC की प्रेस्टीज का सवाल है and I have chosen you particularly for this project and I will not transfer you before you build up this project completely. So then okay, as Mr. Garg was saying, he was a man of word. And I decided, okay, let me then do this project. So finally, we could do the dam straight in 2 years, which was languishing for about 5-7 years. We did it in 2 years. And then before I could meet and tell him, sir, that you had promised me this, he transferred me of his own will to corporate office. So that was the strength we used to draw from Mr. Prasad. And as Mr. Khazanchi has rightly said, that we will certainly miss him throughout our life. That is what kind of support we got. And whatever we could do, a little bit we could do, that was only because of his support. Later on, when I became CMD and he used to come to my house, a number of times he came and we used to discuss various matters. He was slightly wary of the issue that, you know, say the CBC and CBI are after your people, so decisions cannot be made. So we had wide-ranging discussions on this. But he said, as long as you are going for a common future is clear, you should not be afraid of taking any decisions on this regard.
Right.
So I really thank him from my heart, and I again pray to God that his noble soul be given eternal peace.
You know, I would like Murthy Saab back to make a comment. You know, these two projects, you know, especially Indra Sagar project, which was completed in a record time, and also Omkareshwar, where the special design of void turbine had come because it was the Kaplan flow, and I think you adjusted a Francis turbine into that. I want Murthy Saab's comment on the technical ability and also the ability to take up challenges and go forward with it, because these two projects were completed in record time. Of course, Omkareshwar was the run of the river, whereas the other project, basically Indra Sagar, is a storage dam. So Murthy Saab, your comments on this? PVSN is there?
Yeah. I just got my power off actually here a little bit. Okay. Omkareshwar project is one of the specific project which has been done being very low head. Normally it should have been a Kaplan turbine, but we have made it a low head Francis turbine project. And that is a project which in fact has come on time. And in fact, we had a small bonus also as a part of that. White has got a the project in time. I think that is done under NHDC, where Prasad Saab used to be the man who is also coordinating that particular project. And it's wonderful that project has been done by us in record time. And the monitoring of that project is very specific in terms of engineering, in terms of construction, how the drawings approval happened. That's all is a real project management happened in that project. Actually, from the customer point of view, I'll say the best project manager project I have seen in my career for a hydro project from customer point of view. And everybody is on the hold. We have to do our tests on time. Hydraulic tests have to be done in time. Everything has to be done in time, and it's really a great project, which in fact, White Germany even cherishes today on that project. They always quote this project as one of their best hydro projects they have done in India.
Right. And it is very fast, quick completion, less than 4 years.
Less than 4 years. In fact, it was supposed to be done in 48 months, and I think we have done it in 46 months.
Yeah, and even when you go back to Indra Sagar was also the project that was on the same Narmada basin, and it also came in quick time, you know, in about flat 4 years.
It has also been built in time. Yeah.
These were examples of very large projects done in quick time.
Both of them are actually run-of-the-river projects. So it's done quite fast also. That is also one of the reasons could be because what we have seen, the civil work has moved very fast in Omkareshwar. That's another great thing I have seen there in the site.
Right.
As per the plan. And JP was the contractor, if I'm not wrong there.
Right. Now I want to get Garg Saab back, Dr. VK Garg back on the
Yeah.
Shri project, because Prasad fought for it. And I think finally we are seeing the dream in now Abhay Kumar Singh Saab, the current chairman and MD of NHPC, is taking it forward. But it was a massive effort, to get Shri back on track and ensure that it goes into execution. And we at NHPC had written several letters in reviving this project and gave several representations to the government. And Prasad was also again hugely supportive of making that project happen. So what is your view, sir, Garg Saab, on this issue?
Sir, actually, you need another Mr. Prasad to complete this project within the budget and within the available resources.
Right.
Because it has been dragging its feet and it's getting delayed and one escalation after another. So that is affecting the viability of the project and the cost per unit of the tariff, which is going to be a major challenge to completion of the project and its benefits. That's what about Shri, because the sooner it gets completed, the better it is. But the signs of completion are very slow. The progress it should have made is far from satisfactory. And this is the lifeline and the what you call as a mantra for development of the Northeast and the stream of industries down below using the power from Subanshree. That's what I can say about the prospect of the project. Thank you.
So I think, most of us have discussed, and we have discussed everything possible. And, this discussion on Prasad Saab is an unlimited discussion. He was a chapter unto himself. And, I think best thing we could do is at least spend an hour with discussions on him and with some extraordinary people on this particular program, which is my first attempt. And I think the best thing is for tribute to him would be to ensure that the 100 gigawatt of hydropower traction is brought into this country as a mission which Prasad Saab stood for from the 50 gigawatt during the Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time. And I'm very thankful to the NHPC for having supported this discussion, and as well as the Andritz Hydro, one of the leading manufacturers of hydro turbines, for having backed us out, REPA, our organization, and Hetal, Mehta, and everybody supporting us, including Chemtrols. But I would give the last word on closure to our friend PK Sinha Saab to close this so that I can also make the final closure of this meeting. Sinha Saab, any other view that you have on such a personality, as I told you, that for us he is nothing less than M. Vishweshwaraya's league, and also he was probably the greatest hydro engineer that India produced. Of course, we lost two more great hydro engineers in the meanwhile, two more CMDs. One is, I would pay tribute to them as well, Shri S.K. Chaturvedi, who was his junior, and I met him when he was the ED at NHPC for personnel, and later on went on to become the chairman and managing director of Power Grid, whom we lost also in a couple of days after Prasad Saab's gone. Then we also lost another 90-year-old doyen of hydropower, Dr. D.G. Kadkade, who was an advisor to JP Hydro, and a man who did a lot of work on the Western India. A few people know him. I think Balraj Joshi Saab knows him. And maybe I can just squeeze in a few views on him. But, I'm saying this was not a great time for, we lost some of our greatest men for hydropower, and the tallest man was Prasad anyway. Tell me, sir.
Yeah, Professor,
Dr. D.G.
for me, it's a really...
Okay. I think maybe Pramod Sinha can speak, and then we'll get Joshi Saab to say the last thing. Just a minute,
Right.
Sinha Saab.
I was conveying, fortunately, I was born and brought up in hydro sector only. One of the project of Damodar Valley Corporation, which was one of the earliest dam in India, Mehta Dam, and some of the power sector experts might be knowing. And that's how we had our connection, our love our passion for hydro sector and energy sector. And fortunately, I was also through with management training exam of NHPC also. Of course, I didn't join, but I had many other options, including Government of India.
Right.
As far as the journey of Mr. Prasad is concerned, a person who could join as a public sector, myself as from management training level, who could move to Government of India to serve premier organization like Department of Public Enterprise and 100 Fortune company and back to scope with 360-degree perspective, I would say he was a real visionary person which should cast shadow on younger generation, and that could be possible if NHPC or public sectors start a tradition to make some success stories, some extraordinary contributions made by such persons. Why person like Mr. Yogendra Prasad has been from ordinary to extraordinary? Why he has been from an engineer to a nation building person? Why he has been from a small engineering and service sector of Bihar Electricity Board to a national supply like NHPC, or who could vision transmission and other projects of power sector. These learnings need not be left behind, and we should definitely make it a kind of success story, a compendium, which should be shared in every public sector, what were their earlier stalwarts or CMDs were. With these words, I again convey my sincere thanks.
Yeah, the good news is the next inertia is dedicated to Shri Yogendra Prasad. It will be coming in short time. It's a complete inertia dedicated to him and complete issue of our publication. And a lot of things will come. But I bring back Joshi Saab. We lost Kadkade Saab. We must put a tribute to him as well, in a small way. But he was another great doyen, sir.
Yes, he was. And I had a brief association with him in the sense that when I joined at Salar project as a young engineer, Dr. Kadkade was working for HCC, the Hindustan Construction Company, who were doing the concrete dam. And he was the person who was planning all the mechanical paraphernalia, mechanical workshop, and the scheduling part of it he was looking after. I remember that talking to, of course, he was a very senior person, and so I couldn't talk to him directly at that time. But later, but one of his team members I talked to, and he said that we plan, and I'm talking of 1982. He told me that in 1988 we will be able to remove the top crane, which will be at the topmost level, and it will be an Ura crane in May 1988.
Right.
See, that is the kind of planning Dr. Kadkade had. And you believe me, I was there throughout the construction of that dam. And exactly in April 1988, that crane started dismantling the main trestleway and other cranes. So that was the kind of planning that Dr. Kadkade had, a kind of vision he had. Later on, he joined JP, and I had occasion to show him around Dulasi project, where our venture consortium had abrogated the project, and we were looking for a new contractor. At that time, I showed him around, and I would say it was a really illuminating visit, even though I was trying to show him, but I got so many insights of how the things are planned. And the last meeting I had with him was in one of the conferences where after his spine surgery, he was almost 78 years of age that time. So I asked him, sir, how could you venture to get yourself operated upon at this age? He said the quality of matter, quality of life matters. And in fact, and that has been my hallmark, construction work in my planning. And then why shouldn't I be conscious about the quality of my life? That's why he underwent the spinal surgery, which you will not even think of at the age of 70, 78 years of age. So Dr. Kadkade was certainly a really highly respected technical person. And today also, if you Google his name, you will find number of very rich papers written by his experience. And that was a good thing about him. And I'm happy. I feel really proud that I got a chance to interact with him this way.
Right.
So
he had a massive library in his house. He invited me once, and the library was so big. I'm telling you, 2,000 square meter library, and I don't think anybody would have a library on hydro like Dr. Kadkade had. And one interesting thing, Dr. Kadkade and Prasad have been on our jury at the ENERTIA Awards. And the best part is we were able to recognize the Garg project because Garg had a lot of problems. It has got that lot of silting in spite of it is the only roller compacted concrete dam in the country and also in the whole of Asia. Even the Chinese have not built it. And we don't celebrate the Garg dam. It's such a great dam. And Kadkades have a hand in solving the problem there. And Prasad was in such love with the technical expertise of Kadkade Sahib that we awarded that dam. The ENERTIA Awards was given to that construction to irrigation department of Maharashtra for having achieved that. But I'm telling you, this holds a stamp of such great stalwarts. So the connection is that we lost Kadkade Sahib, but in fact, Prasad and Kadkade would, like it's 1 and 2, if you look at it that way. What is your view, sir, again?
I mean, I'm no doubt about that. But as far as the Ghatkar project is concerned, Dr. Khazanchi had a great contribution. And later on, we actually emulated that. And let me tell you that in India, we have number of projects. Of course, China is certainly a forerunner because they have constructed RCC dams which are very, very high. And we have not been able to even think of those standards. But in NHPC also, we had one dam about 45-meter high. But that was all based upon the experiences gained in the Ghatkar construction process.
Right.
So we have some other more projects also. So that's perfectly all right. The technical expertise of Dr. Kadkade is certainly unparalleled.
Right. I wish to mention before I go one last word to Murugesan also. See, we lost S.K. Chaturvedi. And S.K. Chaturvedi, when I met him first in 2005, was I think that time ED of NHPC for personal, and he was under Prasad. And Prasad Sahab was, almost on the verge of, leaving NHPC. So I met him that time, and I saw, he had great, like he always used to speak about Prasad Sahab in a great way. But I think you can say one of the chelas of, Prasad Sahab, he rose to become the Power Grid chairman, and we have also lost him. So a tribute to him as well, a good friend of ours on our advisory board. And I want Murugesan Sahab to talk about Chaturvedi at least. Murugesan ji. DG CPRI Murugesan Sahab. A word for S.K. Chaturvedi.
I'm sorry. Sir, I'm sorry. In fact, it was a lovely feeling that I had an opportunity to travel with him to Korea. He was such a lovely person. He never, the age difference was almost more than 15 years. He used to treat me so nicely, and he used to sing lots of songs. I was not able to understand, but it was lovely, and it was entertaining. Not only there, even the aircraft that Solanki minister was a minister of state. It was such a lovely thing. There was no difference between a minister and him and everybody. It was a lovely thing. Afterwards also, then he was the chairman of Power Grid. So we had a wonderful relationship, and he used to give a lot of work to us. So even afterwards also, when he became JERC member, he used to be in touch with me. He used to touch with me. So it was a lovely feeling. And one go, we lost two of our great friends. That is a sad thing.
Right. So my friends, all of us who have joined this discussion and all the senior people in the industry who have always been associated with ENERTIA, whether it was Garg Saab, whether it was Balraj Joshi Saab, whether it was Murugesan or anyone, and if I missed in this discussion some people, we will get opportunity. We will never forget Prasad Saab's contribution. We will ensure that he is remembered for through hydropower, that we must continue to push hydro in this country. And the biggest tribute would be to see projects like, Shri and all this coming on the grid. And that will be the greatest day for all of us. With this, I thank all and hope that I can make these interactions happen, because now it's like a 2 years hiatus with this COVID thing and all the sad news coming. I thought we should begin with the best thing is start with the program on the father of India's modern hydropower, Yogendra Prasad ji. Thanks to all of you, and
thank you.
Also to PK Sinha Sahab and anybody's name, and Hetal Mehta. He came in the last minute information from me. For all of us who have come together, thanks. to all and look forward to doing more meetings like this with you guys. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Greetings to
Thank
all.
you,
Prasad
yes.
sir, forever.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Bye,
you,
sir.
Deepika.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.